Hey peeps, I'm gonna make this quick because I'm working on a project that's gonna take longer than I thought, so I just thought I'd share a couple of movies I watched. The first movie I saw was Voyeurs, and it wasn't very good, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. The movie is supposed to be like an erotic take on Rear Window, but it was trying to be Rear Window without understanding what made Hitchcock's masterpiece Rear Window even work. So let me get the bad out of the way first. The acting was pretty terrible, especially from the two leads, and this was combined with the fact that both characters were incredibly annoying and obnoxious for the first half of the movie. I was ready to turn this movie completely off because they got on my nerves that badly. The main lead actress had these dead behind the eyes moments that required stronger emotional responses, and she just ended up looking bored for half the movie. The level of dedication that these annoying characters went through to do something this stupid as spying was just too much to believe. I'm sorry, it got too implausible. In Rear Window, Jimmy Stewart's voyeuristic tendencies were because he was pretty much immobile, and he tried to distract himself by spying on his neighbors, and it obviously, escalated if you've ever seen the movie. And even in the movie Disturbia, there was a plausible reason for the main character spying on his neighbor. It's because he was on house arrest. Here, the characters just do it for no reason, and it feels incredibly forced, and just added more problems to the plot that I'm not going to spoil here. And the movie looks visually atrocious. Like someone went overboard on the opacity filter in post-production because the movie looks way too dark. It's so dark that I even checked my TV brightness settings and they were normal. So why would the director suggest darkening the film so much? I mean, what does it do to add to the presentation? Nothing, like at all. The song choices were irritating and the score itself was unimpressive and forgettable. The film has these pretentious scene transitions that were just jarring and laughable. The film tries to do that audio trick where characters are exchanging dialogue but they're not actually talking, but later we cut to them actually exchanging that dialogue. Those irritate me in any movie anyway. The dialogue was as heavy-handed as God knows what, filled with ridiculous amounts of exposition about the characters that we already don't really like or care for. That being said, the second half actually got my attention when things were subverted in a way I didn't expect. Certain plot elements were paid off that I didn't care for at first, and the ending was actually kind of satisfying. But this doesn't really save the movie, as those prior flaws that I acknowledged earlier don't really improve the film overall. But the film itself was slightly stronger than when it began. I mean, see it if you want. You'll have to slog through a terrible first hour, but it's just to get to the more slightly amusing second hour, so I'm just gonna give it a generous 2 out of 5 stars. And the second film was David Lynch's Dune. Oh no, my bad. Jodorowsky's Dune. No, I mean John Harrison's Dune. No, I got it this time. Denis Villeneuve's Dune. There we go. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, before I continue, let me say that Blade Runner 2049 is my least favorite movie from Villeneuve's filmography. And this is coming from a fan of both the first film and the book. That being said, I like this one far better than Blade Runner 2049. And it's because the setting that the story takes place in suits Villeneuve's strengths as a director. I mean, I've always felt that David Fincher would make a much better fit for a Blade Runner film than any other director that I can think of, especially after 7. If you haven't seen 7, watch it and you'll see what I mean. But honestly, Blade Runner 2049 was never a bad movie to me, just not a good Blade Runner movie, or Blade Runner sequel. But regardless, I think it's safe to say that Villeneuve did do the impossible with bringing such a massive universe to life, even at the expense of only telling half the story. A 3-year production period, and even having tension against Warner Brothers for releasing it on HBO Max, was still worth it because you can see the passion on all cylinders. Now, I haven't read the book since high school, so this was all just a reintroduction to me. Now, if you're curious about what you're getting into when you do see this movie, yes, this is pretty much a setup film, but I thought it worked pretty well. The story is self-contained and the characters were never really boring. The film's pacing was appropriate and it never felt like time was being wasted at all, especially since this is the tip of what's gonna follow next. You're given information about the world, the politics behind it, and the central conflict. Now, some people have ruled this movie out as being a little too expository, but personally I didn't mind it because the characters were also being explained these aspects of the universe, so I never felt like it was jarring. As expected, this movie is a massive eye feast. From the cinematography, the really sick looking sets and costume design, to the very well utilized special effects and visual effects. The cast is solid all around, with Oscar Isaac giving my favorite performance. The score from Hans Zimmer was just awesome and it really sucks you into the world. My only real complaint is the fight choreography was pretty bad at times. Now, I don't know what happened, but it looked painfully obvious, especially a scene that involved wire work that I'm shocked they didn't even bother reshooting. But other than that, I can safely say that I'm glad we're getting cinematic experiences of an epic magnitude again, especially when it comes to a pretty difficult adaptation adaptation like Dune to be able to get on the big screen. Definitely worth a watch for fans of the novel, and in my opinion, it's accessible enough for anyone who's actually interested in this complex sci-fi universe. And I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 stars. Alright, thanks peeps, thanks for watching, and peace out and love y'all. I gotta get to work.